Hey everyone, welcome to 4/18/2019, and for the live sessions I was doing experimentation demonstrations, but because we're getting into the milestone 3, which is essentially constructing the rest of your level from the pieces that you've already put together, I wanted to do a quick touch base on the tools that are in the project that you may have skipped over or maybe haven't quite delved into yet. So this is going to be more of just an overview of the tools in the project and how to use them. So I have the game design document open right now. If you remember, this document's been linked a couple times in multiple assignments ever since the initial welcome to level design assignment, and then continues off of that. So in here, if we scroll down, we'll get to the level design tools, and in here there's a couple different things linked: player size, map projector, gravimal objects, etc. If you click on the top one, it takes you to the very beginning of all of it. The rest of these are all in the same page, so these are just jumps to the heading of that. So if we wanted to jump to player size, we could click on that, but it's the top one, so we can just go here and go right to the top of that. Now, instead of rolling through all of these, I just wanted to show you that this describes exactly where things are and what they do and whatnot. So it says tools, player size, and then it has where it is in the project, what it looks like when you drag it into the scene, what you use it for, and each one of these kind of flows through that same thing. So I'm going to go into Unity and then just kind of work through each one of them. I already have a scene for my quote-unquote level, and I'm going to just kind of start building a little test bed of things to show you guys. So the tools folder, right here, I've got my folder, by the way, so make sure you're putting your own work in your folder if you're not already, instead of inside of any of these folders. The tools folder has all those tools that I was just talking about, though, so we're going to kind of step through each one of these. Let's put a floor here just so we know we're working in our level. So I'm going to do a new shape in Pro Builder, just hit build, close the window, and then place this over closer to this. I can hold V to snap corners to corners, or if you're familiar with a 3D modeling terms, it's a vertex or a vertice to vertice, but snapping edges to edges. So this is going to go over here. I'm going to make sure this is, let's go -5. There we go. So it's on the actual like specific position, the grid point. There we go. So there's that cube, and I'm just going to fill this space as if this was going to be where my level was going to go. I've selected the edge, hold control to snap to grid, select the edge, hold control to snap to grid, and here's my, my play space of sort. Put that in my level, and then let's get the first piece down. One of the first tools that you were introduced to was the checkpoint. You're dragging a checkpoint in here, you get a box, a volume of sort, and then a respawn position. The respawn position can be moved by going under the checkpoint, selecting the respawn position, and then you can put them right before the checkpoint if you want to. But the actual checkpoint itself is how you trigger that they've saved that position. So if I wanted the player to be forced to save that position, you would want to make sure that this box fills the space. Let's see if I can make this easier to see on here. There you go. So this volume would have to fill this entire space for you to know that the player will in fact trigger that when they walk over here. So if I do edit collider and drag this edge over here and drag this edge over here, now I know for a fact that they have to touch this in order to move forward. Right now the respawn position is above the ground. If I move it down just slightly, I know gravity will take over, but I just want to make sure that they don't fall through the ground when they respawn. Now, this checkpoint is currently the default checkpoint. It says that it is, it displays a message when you reach it. The name of the location is unnamed location. So let's just call this start of level. I don't know why I put a capital of level. So start of level. And then if I hit play, let's go up here and hit play, we can see that it automatically populates into the little fast travel thing, so we can jump to the start of my level immediately. And so this is where I would be. Notice I didn't activate the checkpoint yet, but I jumped myself forward through the fast travel. If I walk forward, though, it says start of level is where I'm at. And that area is known through that checkpoint. Now, it does say start of level in the on the compass as well. So if you made this volume even bigger, then you could essentially name an area. So if you wanted the start of level to be not just what I just marked, but if you wanted this entire thing to be named as the start of level, you would just fill that space so that you know that everywhere in here is in fact the start of the level. So now that we have the checkpoint put in here, I'm going to get on to the next thing that we can do, which is make sure the player dies in order to get to the checkpoint. And so the damage volume is another volume of sort that you can place that when the player stands in it, they will take damage, and the amount of damage is up to you. So if I wanted this tree over here to, let's pretend this tree was on fire or something, and if I stood next to the fire, I would take damage. Just position this around that. So if this tree was on fire and I wanted the player to take damage, I would put it over in this area. Now it starts with a box collider. You can change it to a sphere if you would like. The main thing on here is that the base damage is currently 10 and the interval is 1 second. Now 1 second takes a while. It's 1,000 and then it would do damage. If we wanted this to happen like every so often, like tick, 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 then we would reduce this down. So like 1, 1 or something, like 0.1. So it would go 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. That's more so what we want to see. The player's already got a sound effect for getting hurt. So if we walk over into this volume now, we'll take damage from that. So let's make sure that we store this save point by walking forward. Now we're in the start of the level. Notice that it's this entire area. Also, the checkpoints on the compass, the one that you are currently stored at is marked as green, whereas other ones will show up as just markers. So now that I'm saved there, I'm going to run over to this and take some damage. So that was incredibly fast, but you can tell that it definitely killed me and respawned me over here. There's also a damage volume at the bottom of the entire world, kind of spanning where the level would be. So if you jump off as well, you can die from that. And then return right back. So that's checkpoints and damage volumes. Let's move on. So now that we have that, the example collectibles. So the collectibles are what you've been using for breadcrumbs, key items, that kind of stuff. So I'm going to go over just the basics of that and how we can use them. If you drag in an example collectible, it comes in as a box. Now this box doesn't have to be a box. It's just the thing that's underneath the collectible is this. So if you wanted something else to be here, like if you wanted to create, let's see what we got in here. If there was a pipes, prisms, spheres, a torus. So if I wanted a torus, just for the sake of having something that looked like something else, we could make this torus, and that could be some sort of like mechanical piece or something. It's like a weird triangular shape thing. Let's go ahead and just build one of those, and then I'm going to drag that underneath the example collectible, set its position to 0, 0, 0, and then currently is way bigger than that. Now we never want to scale an object in the world. However, if it is a child of something else, I wouldn't worry too much about that. As long as there isn't another object underneath that object that you are then applying scale to. So if I wanted to make this half this size, like that would be more of a collectible of sort. Still not sure what that is, but that's fine. Notice that this one has a box collider on it, so you would bump into it. I'd recommend using some sort of a collision on the object. Mesh colliders are not really the best choice for a collision for any reason whatsoever. So I'm going to go ahead and just remove it. And I'm going to add something that at least fills this space. Let's do a sphere collider. I realize that a sphere collider, the player could technically walk over it or something like that. But as long as it's kind of like around the object, that's all I really care about. Just be as close to the general shape as possible. All right, so let's remove this collectible. And now that we have, hold on, children's side of prefab, sure. I need to make sure that this is not a prefab. So let's go ahead and say this does not override. See if I can do, we can just turn this one off. There we go. So let's turn that one off, and then this torus is now what the collectible looks like. That way I'm not modifying the original prefab. And let's make this have the correct material on it. So under the materials folder, there's a bunch of different materials in here. The one that we need for collectibles is dynamic collectible. I'm just going to go ahead and drag and replace that default Pro Builder. And now we have this collectible. Now this one is currently on the scraps collectible thing right here. It says that its value is low, it is not a key item, and there's no name. So if I wanted to make like a low, medium, and high value, I could make this one be smaller maybe. Like let's go 2.5, 5, 5. Give it like some sort of a variation. So this is going to be example low. And then I'm going to duplicate. And this next one will be example medium. Example medium. I'm going to change the thing here to medium. And then we can get one more for a high value. Let's make sure the size is different. So 25, 35. You can see the difference. Give the players something that they can look at and be like, hey, I bet that's more worthwhile than this other thing. Okay, and then 35, and this will be 45. And obviously you would make this into whatever it is that you actually want as a collectible in your level. Don't just make up like random things. This is supposed to be a semi-realistic game, so you want to pick something that would actually make sense. But right now we have low, medium, and high, whatever these are. I'll put high over here, put medium over here, and then lows right there. And now if we run in here, game, play, we can go run up to these items and just see how they work. Jump to the start of level real quick. And now we've got our items. We walk up to this one, let's press E to interact. So that one was something of value, and the money jumps up to, I believe it's a random value set right now. So it's going to jump up to a decent size, yeah, like $832 or something like that. And that's just an estimate you can use for storytelling or whatever. There's medium, and this would be small, something a little bit. So there's our 3 items, but none of those were key items. So let's go ahead and make a key item. A key item is essentially something that you would want to require for some sort of interaction. So if I duplicate this, and let's move that one, get back in here, duplicate. Okay, so let's move this over here, and this is going to be a key. Okay, and if it's a key item, its value won't matter anymore. What's going to matter is that you set it as a key item and then you name it. So let's call this, I don't know, Triforce. It's a Triforce kind of shape. And let's take this thing, turn it up. There you go. So we know that that's the key. But it could be whatever you think is the key for your level. So if you had some sort of a statue or some sort of a switch or some sort of something you need to fix something with, you could set it to that to make sure that it would show up. And so if there was, let's make sure we have 3 of them. So I have 1, 2, and 3. So if we have 3 pieces of a Triforce, or I guess I should say part of Triforce, then it's like Zelda-y. Yeah, Triforce shard. There you go. So we have 3 Triforce shards, and those will show up in the inventory. Like I said, anything that's a key item you should be requiring as an actual key for something. Like if you wanted to open a door or fix something to get it started or whatever, that kind of stuff. So these are key items. If I walk up to this one and interact with it, it goes underneath the inventory, and that's something that we can reference. Same if I get another one, it actually puts it right underneath it. And then that way we can check for multiple of the same item if you wanted 3 bolts or something to fix a machine or something like that. Let's talk about how you reference that in a script, since we're on that topic. So over at, let's make some sort of a thing I need to look at, just so we have somewhere to go with this. Next to this tree, I'm just going to put a box. And this box is going to be something that we're going to deposit these items into. So if I snap this to, there we go, that'll be good. So this box here is a Triforce box of sort, whatever that is. Obviously keep yours in theme. I'm just doing it for demonstration purposes. So Triforce box, and then I'm going to remove this mesh collider, make it a box collider because that would be better than a mesh collider. And then this box itself, I'm going to go ahead and add a child to this. So let's go create empty, and then this empty, let's make sure it's centered. So I'm going to make this box centered, center pivot, and then make this at 0, 0, 0. And then this box, notice that the box collider has moved. I'm going to just reset it, go to the little gear, hit reset, and now it's in the center. So we can't we can't walk through it. This object underneath, though, I'm going to make a trigger volume, and then we're going to set the layer to ignore raycast. And then I'm going to add to it a sphere collider so I can step into this space. If I make that bigger, then I can actually step into it. And that I'm going to put, let's do I guess I should talk about one of the other things. Let's add in here I'll get to it at some point. Let's just add a script real quick. This is going to be, my initials are DAM, and let's do underscore check items. That way we can do some sort of a deposit thing. So this script, all it's going to do is look for the type of item I'm looking for, and we'll have it react in some way. Open up the script. Cool. All right. So in here, I'm gonna zoom in a little bit. 200. There we go. Unless this becomes a little ridiculous. Start and update. I don't really. These just come default in a new script. I don't really need those right now. So what I need to know is what I'm looking for and how many I'm looking for. Instead of hard coding that into the script, we're going to make 2 variables: public string for what I need equals, and let's just make it blank for right now, public int how many I need. There you go. There's not a string, sorry. I'm going to put it as 0 for right now. And so with those, what I need and how many I need are going to be the amount of items I'm looking for when I go to interact with this. In order to interact with this, I'm going to need some way to walk up to it and do something with it. One of the things we can do is, and this is what I was thinking about earlier, one of the other things in the project is the Scraps interactive script. The component is actually inside of, if I go into tools, and then in the scripts folder, you'll find the interactive script. So the interactive script I can use to use Unity events to call something. So let's make something that we can check, or make something that we can call from the interactive script. I'm going to make a public, it's going to be a public method. We're going to say void, because it doesn't return anything. Deposit items, and then deposit items, we're going to talk to the inventory. So to get to the inventory, I need to do, we're gonna reference it in an if statement and call one of its methods. So we're gonna say if scraps underscore inventory, and then and what I'm doing right now is all in the documentation in the game design document. Instance, so we're going to talk to the only one of that exists. We're going to use can consume key item because what's going to happen is we're going to look for the specific item, and if I can consume it, I want it to get rid of from my inventory. If you just wanted to reference how many, we could do a different way. I can actually use that before this to send a message to the player. So let's do can consume key item. The item, it says we need a name and then the amount. So the name is what I need because I've stored a string. The amount, how many I need. Actually, let's do individuals. Let's go with can consume 1. If I can consume 1, I want to put 1 in there. Let's do multiple deposits. If I can, in here, we consume 1. Actually, let's make a requirement, shall we? So let's do can I consume required, or can I consume? No, I'm just gonna go with 1 for right now. Let's make it simple. We consume 1. If we don't consume 1, then we didn't have any to consume. And then we can use one of the other tools to talk about that. So right before I go to deposit, what I want to do is check if I have them. So if scraps underscore inventory instance, I want to use, I believe it's get key item amount. Yeah, get key item amount. We're going to pass in what I need. And then that's going to give us an integer to check against. So I'm going to say, is this greater than 0? Do we have any of the items I'm looking for? If so, try to consume 1. Oh, actually, here's a neat trick. This get key item amount, this, if it's greater than 0, will be the amount that I have. So I'm going to go copy that. Let's say if it's greater than 0 and it's less than, and it is less than or equal to the amount that I need. So let's go do and I can either make this smaller to fit this all the way across, but something else we can also do is, just to show you formatting tricks, I can do and then just go down here and start typing again, because the line hasn't ended yet, so you can just go to the next line to kind of make things easier to see. So get key item amount. What I need is, I want to make sure that it's also less than or equal to how many I need. So no matter what, this will only run if I have more than 0 and I have less than or equal to the amount that I need. There's only 3 in the level, so it's never going to give me outside of that kind of a thing. Also, I need to make sure that this is closed. There we go. So yeah, it's gonna check for, do I have more than 0, and is there as many as I'm looking for? And if so, instead of consuming 1, we consume the amount I have. And the way that I'm going to do that is just take get key item amount from here and put it right into this slot. So if I have more than 0 and I have less than or equal to 3, then I definitely want to consume all of them that I have. So I'm just going to put that in there. And I could even format this again if I wanted to and go what I need and how many I need, if that helps out at all. But I'm just going to put those back for right now. Okay, so we consume the amount I have. So let's send a message if it works. I'm going to use a different tool, the Scraps message system, to send a message. So Scraps, Scraps underscore message system instance, and then the only function in here is new message. New message says who says it, who's this from, what is the message body, and then what kind of message type it is. So we're going to say, let's do like a, There's a couple different message types in here. There's like a system message, a standard message, a bad message if you want to tell them that they did something wrong, or an emote. And an emote, you can use it to make it look like you've done something. So let's use those two different ones. So I'm going to make, I'm going to put in the name of the person, what they said. So you deposited, and then we're going to add something. So I'm going to say you deposited, put a space after it. Then I'm going to add the item that I deposited, or the amount and the name of the item that I deposited. So the amount that I deposit is whatever we had beforehand, I guess. So we need to store the amount we had beforehand, which might actually make that line a little easier to see. So let's go int. This will be a local variable, int how many I have equals whatever I've got here. Actually, we can make this easier to see already. Let's put this at the top of deposit items. There you go. So if I use how many I have here, then we can take whatever the value of how many I have is and check it against these things. So let's make this easier to see. How many I have is greater than 0, and how many I have is less than or equal to how many I need. And you can just make logical statements like this, and it'll make this a lot easier for you to understand. So however many I have and however many I have versus however many I need, then we can go in here and say what I need, and then here, let's do what I have. So how many I have. No, have. There we go. There we go. So I can then take you deposited how many I have, because it's consuming it from the inventory, but we've stored it up here. So we can just use that. So however many I have, plus whatever it was. So the thing we're looking for, let's add, let's put a space in here and then add and put what I need. And it's just creating your own message out of strings and values and putting them together. So let's put a comma here, and then we're on the message type. If I hit space, it'll jump right to that. Hit enter and it'll fill that out. And then we can just do this as an emote. Finish that off. So there's our big old message there. Let's go. So this is who said it. This is what they said. And this is the type of message it is. So you can see all of it on the same line, or not the same line, but in the same space. And then if that is the message I'm going to do for this, let's copy that and say we didn't consume any, paste this. The scrapper is going to say, I need more, whatever it is. So Triforce thing, plus what I need. And then we'll add period. Let's exclamation. There you go. I need more, exclamation point. All right. So the emote instead will do standard. That way it's them just saying something rather than them emoting that they did something. All right. Save that. And then this should allow me to call deposit items from that other component. So this one thing just handles checking the inventory and using up what's there, and then sending a message, some sort of feedback based on that. So let's minimize this and go to here, and we'll add, now that we have this trigger volume and stuff, box, trigger volume on here, see what I need, how many I need is on here now. Let's add the scraps interactive script. Boom, all right. In here, on interact, we're gonna hit plus, and then drag the check item script into this slot. Boom. And then we're going to, in here, check items, and you'll see our deposit items method right here. Select it. Now when I interact with this, it's going to do that thing. Okay. Let's do, what I need is going to be the name of the key item, Triforce shard. Copy it. Go back to here. Paste it. And I need 3 of them. Okay. see how that works. So how many I need, I should actually subtract them as I consume them. So let's make sure that we do that. So how many I have and what I need, let's say how many I need minus minus. So that's going to reduce the amount that I actually need to consume until there's no more. So actually in here we can put out the box is full or a message like that. Let's go, the box is full. Copy, paste, box is full, and let's just be like, there's no more room. There is no more room. The box is full. There you go. Save. Okay. Let's go ahead and give that a test. So, game, play. Cool. So let's jump over to the start of the level. Then over here we've got our items we can collect. We got pieces of that key. Let's go over here. It says press E to interact. E says there is no more room, the box is full. Uh-oh, that doesn't seem right. Because we're just saying no matter what. So not else, but rather what we need to check is if we don't have enough. So let's make an else if. And the else if is going to say if how many I have is less than. How many I have is less than how many I need. Then I want to be like, let's make, yeah, if it equals how many I need, then we're going to be okay. So if it's less than how many I need, that's when I want to be like, there's, wait, at 0. Yes, that should work. What I need. We didn't have any to consume. Yeah, what I should do is if it's equal to. So how many I have equals how many I need. Maybe. That's not really going to work. I need to make sure that I send out a if it's full or not. So let's do public full is full. I could really figure out the logic to this, but I'm just want to make sure this is working. So is full is false. Then here I can say if let's go enter, if is full is false, then check things. We can put how many I have under that too if we wanted to. Enter, there we go. Yeah, let's take this and put it in here because then I'll never check how many I have until unless it is full, you know. So if it is not full, then we'll run through and check some things. This should not be, there's no more room. It's going to be the other one. So the not enough, rather, I guess. Maybe, I don't know. I'm going to leave that right now for now, and then go here, and then go else, and then we'll move this here. So cut, paste. I'm going to put in a debug.log did the thing just to see if we reach that line with this setup. So we're going to go through that. If is not full, what I want to do is go right before this. I'm going to say if how many I have, if how many I need is 0, then we should say it's full. So is full is true. Let's put this at the bottom so it's after we run all that other stuff, because we run the things top to bottom, left to right. Here, how many I need down here. That'll set it to full. Let's just see if we get to that other one real quick. It's always good to debug your work. So jump over, and now that we're here, let's go test it real quick. I have 0 items. So it did the thing. I currently have nothing. So let's send a message here that says something about what I'm looking for. Like here, I need something like I need this, but let's go here and say looks like I can put what I need in here. Save. There you go. Now we got different messages for different things that happen so that we can show progression and all that kind of stuff. So here we are, run back over, test it, and it should say, okay, Scrapper says, looks like I can put Triforce Shard in here. Collect one. There you go. Let's try to dump it in here. Okay, you deposited 1 Triforce Shard. It's gone from my inventory. If I interact with it now, looks like I can put Triforce Shard in here. Let's get 2 of them. 1, 2, and then try to dump both in. Here we go. You deposited 2. If I interact with it again, looks like I can put Shard in here. So it's definitely not full, it seems. Let's double check. Pause. Scroll down to the box. Check the volume. The volume says it is not full. It needs 1 currently. So because I did, this is why, right here. I need to subtract how many I have. So minus equals how many I have. Now it'll subtract it by the actual amount I put in there. Test it one more time, and then we can move on to objectives, I believe. I can touch base on message volumes too. The one thing I'm not going to go over in this is the map projector, because I left instructions for it on a document, and I really would like you to go through that for getting your map useful. So let's collect 1, 2, dump them. Boom, you deposited 2, great. Get it, go put 1 in here. Boom, you deposited 1, check again. There is no more room, the box is full. There you go. So let's link that to an objective. The objectives are things you can use to show that progression has taken place in your level, give the player some feedback, etc., that sort of thing. So if I wanted to make an objective that this box used, what I need to do is create an empty object in this scene. Let's add a sphere collider, set it as a trigger, and then add a scraps objective to this. So this objective is going to exist in this area. We change the size of the radius to fill the space for where we want this to be. This is going to display that objective, depending on if we're in this area or not. So I'm going to go down to like here, then fill this space out. So definitely have to be where the box is and where the playable space is. So like here, maybe, is where I want that to be. There's the box, the shards, everything like that, so that it's in the same area. Now that I have this here, let's call this obj-shards. There you go. So the shards objective, on the objective script, there's an ID value. Everyone is your own level, and that means that you would all have an objective 1 of sort. Don't name them by numbers. You should give them a nickname of some sort so that you know which objective it is, and that's going to help with when you join your teams together in PNP3, having all of them in the same project. So on this thing, I'm going to write the ID value is going to be my initials _ shards. And that's what we're going to use to talk to this objective. The text is going to say deposit Triforce Shards in box. And then the value is going to be how many shards I've deposited or how many steps have been completed so far, and then the max value is how many that are required to be finished to complete this. There are 3 shards, so let's say 3, and then it is not complete and the player is not here. Those are just visible because they're set to public. You do not need to check those boxes because those will be handled through this script and everything. This is a trigger volume, so let's set the layer to ignore raycast. And then we need a way to actually talk to this. So every time you press E, you should attempt to deposit one of these things. The script that we have on the box is the actual depositing of those shards. So let's make sure that we are calling our objective through this script that we made. So up here at the top, I'm going to store the objective. Let's go public scraps objective. And that's going to be the objective I just added to the scene. I'm going to say obj, just for short. And then if it's not full, how many, et cetera, et cetera. This is when we actually deposit one of these. So let's update the objective when we deposit one of them. So I'm going to say, let's do if, actually let's go, here we go. If obj dot, let's check to see has, or say is complete. So we need to see, is this already done yet? Just as a double checking, is false. If it is not a completed objective, then what I want to do is obj.update objective. The objective that I want, the objective value that we're updating is currently 0, so I'd like to increase it by how many I have just deposited. So how many I have. And so that will, if I deposit 1, it'll tick it by 1. If I deposit 2, tick it by 2. If I deposit by 3, tick it by 3. So that way it can change the objective and then complete it when we're done. So let's go test that out. Waiting for the compile. Okay, so there's where the objective goes. I'm just going to drag this shards objective right into that slot and then go test this out. Cool. Notice that there's no objective showing right now. I'm going to walk all the way to the front just to go ahead and get it to show. There it is. Move crates. Okay. Keep going, move forward, and we're going to see deposit Triforce shards into box. So if I grab one of these and go try to deposit one of these, it's now raised by 1. If I grab 2 and deposit, it completes. So we put all of them in there. Pressing E anymore, there's no more room, I can't do anything. The objective shows forever as completed in that spot. So if I keep moving away, it'll go away. If I run back, it'll go, you've completed this objective in this area. So that's creating an objective from that sort of thing. You can trigger that update objective for anything that you would want to do it for, be it entering a volume, putting a box into a volume, interacting with the inventory, jumping on something, any way that you would normally interact with anything else. Pulling a lever, you could trigger it from opening a door. It's just a matter of calling that update objective whenever you're supposed to update it. Cool. So objectives, what do we have left? Message volumes and the player size. So the message volumes are just a way for you to get around calling the messages. You can place one of these here, like next to the box, for instance. And then next to this box, I could say that this volume needs to call some sort of a message. And then this starts as a box collider, but you can always change it. So if I walk over here, it says, who said it? The scrapper. What did they say? I bet I can put things in this box. And then standard, yeah. I don't do system messages on here. So standard or a bad message. Does it vanish forever? Yeah, I only want them to say it one time, so only once is good. Let's make the size a little bigger so that as soon as we walk up to it, we see it. Okay. And put this down here and play. Okay, jump over to the start of the level, and then we'll walk back to this thing, and the message is going to say, I bet I can put things in this box. Interact. Looks like I can put Triforce shards in there. So you can put layers of feedback into it, depending on whatever it is that they need to do. Okay, so that's covering pretty much all of the main tools that you would be using for your milestone. Um, the the map projector and player size and that kind of stuff should have been something you were using already. Just as a recap, the player size was this object that is the shape of the player, and the map projector you can use to project your level map into the scene. If you haven't already started building your level, obviously the player start icon should be the same size as this player size object. So you can just change the orthographic size on the map projector to project down on that to show it. Anywho, I hope this was really informative. It's going to be shorter than some of the other ones I've done, but all good information. Thanks for watching, and good luck on your projects.